Welcome to Talks and Views. In this video we will discuss about MT700 SWIFT Message. MT700 looks like a collection of numbers and codes, but every field carries a critical LC instruction. What does field 40A actually tell you? Why is 46A so important? One wrong field can create discrepancies, delays, financial exposure, or even legal risk. In this video, we will decode MT700 field by field using simple examples anyone can understand. If you work in LC issuance or prepare for CDCS, you cannot afford to miss this. Let's dive into the video now.
Field 27, Sequence of Total. The purpose of this field shows how many MT700 messages make up the complete LC. Example, field 27:1/1. Means, this is message 1 of 1. Field 40A, form of documentary credit. The purpose of this field states the type of documentary credit. Example, 40A irrevocable. Means the LC is irrevocable. This tells you what type of LC it is. Field 20, documentary credit number. Purpose of this field, unique reference number of the LC. Example, Field 20, LC 20260012334. This is the bank's identification number for the LC. Why important? It is used for amendments, correspondence, document presentation, and settlement.
Field 23, reference to pre-advice. Purpose of this field, links the operative LC to an earlier pre-advice, if one was sent. Example, Field 23, Curry 123456. Field 31C, date of issue. Purpose of this field, states the date on which the LC is issued. Example, 31C, 260806. Which means August 6, 2026. Field 40E, applicable rules. Purpose of this field, specifies the rules governing the LC. Example, Field 40E UCP latest version. This indicates that the LC is subject to UCP. Never ignore this field. The applicable rules form the legal framework for the documentary credit.
Field 31D, date and place of expiry. Purpose of this field, tells the beneficiary when and where the LC expires. Example, Field 31D 261015 Dubai. Which means expiry on October 15, 2026 in Dubai. Field 51A, applicant bank. Purpose of this field, identifies the bank of the applicant, where applicable. Example, Field 51A ABC Bank. Field 50, applicant. Purpose of this field, identifies the customer who requested the LC. Example, Field 50 ABC Imports LLC. Dubai, UAE.
Field 59, beneficiary. Purpose of this field, identifies the party in whose favor the LC is issued. Example, Field 59, states the permitted tolerance above and or below the credit amount. Example, Field 39A, May 5th. Means, plus 5% / minus 5%. If the applicable conditions permit, the drawing amount may vary within that tolerance.
Field 39C, additional amounts covered. Purpose of this field, specifies additional amounts covered by the credit, where applicable. Example, Field 39C, freight and insurance charges as stated. Simple meaning, it tells the bank whether certain additional costs are covered within the credit structure. Field 41A, available with. By. Purpose of this field, identifies the bank with which the credit is available and the method of availability. Example, Field 41A Ziz Bank. By payment. There are 4 tiers of payments available under the LC. They are payment, acceptance, negotiation, or deferred payment, depending on the LC structure. Field 42C, drafts at. Purpose of this field, specifies the tenor of drafts when drafts are required. Example. Field 42C 60 days after bill of lading date. Meaning the draft is payable 60 days after the B/L date.
Field 42A, drawee. Purpose of this field, identifies the bank/person on whom the draft is drawn. Example. Field 42A, issuing bank. Simple meaning, who is supposed to pay/accept the draft. Field 42M, mixed payment details. Purpose of this field, provides details when the credit has a mixed payment arrangement. Example. 20% payable at site. 80% payable 60 days after BL date. One LC can have different payment components. Field 42P, negotiation/deferred payment details. Purpose of this field, provides the details of negotiation or deferred payment arrangements. Example. 80% payable 60 days after shipment date.
Field 43P, partial shipments. Purpose of this field, states whether partial shipments are allowed. Example. Field 43P allowed. Or. Field 43P not allowed. Field 43T, transshipment. Purpose of this field, states whether transshipment is allowed. Example. Field 43T allowed. Simple meaning, can the goods be transferred from one means of transport to another during transportation? Field 44A, place of taking in charge/dispatch/place of receipt. Purpose of this field. Specifies the relevant starting location depending on the transport structure. Example. Field 44A, Shenzhen, China.
Field 44E, port of loading/airport of departure. Purpose of this field, specifies where the goods are loaded or depart. Example. Field 44E, Shanghai Port, China. Field 44F, port of discharge/airport of destination. Purpose of this field, specifies the port or airport where the goods arrive. Example. Field 44F, Jebel Ali Port, UAE. Field 44B, place of final destination/transportation to/delivery. Purpose of this field. Specifies the final destination or delivery location, where applicable. Example. Field 44B, Dubai, UAE.
Field 44C, latest date of shipment. Purpose of this field, specifies the latest permitted shipment date. Example. Field 44C, 261001. Which means October 1, 2026. If the LC requires shipment no later than October 1, shipment after that date may create a late shipment discrepancy. Field 44D, shipment period. Purpose of this field, specifies a period during which shipment must take place. Example. Field 44D, from September 1 to September 30, 2026. Field 45A. Description of goods and/or services. Purpose of this field, describes what is being traded. Example. 1,000 metric tons rice. CIF Jebel Ali Port, UAE. The description should be clear and consistent with the commercial transaction.
Field 46A, documents required. Purpose of this field, specifies the documents the beneficiary must present. Example. Signed commercial invoice. Full set of bills of lading. Packing list. Certificate of origin. This is one of the most important fields for document checking. Field 47A, additional conditions. Purpose of this field, contains additional conditions applicable to the credit. Example. Beneficiary certificate confirming that one copy of shipping documents has been sent to applicant within 5 days of shipment. This field can create significant discrepancy risk if conditions are unclear, contradictory or difficult to evidence. Field 71D, charges. Purpose of this field, states who bears the banking charges. Example. Field 71D, all banking charges outside issuing bank are for beneficiary. Simple meaning, who pays the charges?
Field 48, period for presentation. Purpose of this field specifies the number of days after shipment within which documents must be presented, where applicable. Example. Field 48:21 days after shipment. Meaning documents must be presented within 21 days after shipment, subject to the LC terms and applicable rules. Field 49, confirmation instructions. Purpose of this field indicates the issuing bank's instruction concerning confirmation. Example. Field 49 may add. Meaning the advising bank may add confirmation, subject to its agreement and applicable conditions. Field 58A, requested confirmation party. Purpose of this field identifies the bank requested to add confirmation, where applicable. Example. Field 58A, confirming bank. Simple meaning, which bank is being requested to add its confirmation.
Field 53A, reimbursing bank. Purpose of this field identifies the bank authorized to reimburse the claiming bank. Example. Field 53A, reim bank. Simple meaning, which bank provides reimbursement when payment is claimed. Field 78, instructions to paying, accepting, negotiating bank. Purpose of this field gives instructions to the bank handling payment, acceptance or negotiation. Example. Upon receipt of complying documents, claim reimbursement from the reimbursing bank. Instructions here must not conflict with the main LC terms. Field 57A, advise through bank. Purpose of this field identifies a bank through which the LC should be advised, where applicable. Example. Field 57A, intermediary bank. Simple meaning, which bank should be used as the advising route.
Field 72Z, sender to receiver information. Purpose of this field provides additional information from the issuing bank to the receiving bank. Example. Field 72Z, please confirm receipt of this credit. Do not use free format instructions carelessly. The receiving bank must understand exactly what the sender intends.
Hope this video was useful to understand MT700 SWIFT message field-wise clearly. Like, share and subscribe to Talks and Views for more contents related to trade finance, compliance, supply chain and blockchain related contents. If you are looking for professional training for CDCS, CSDG, CITF, ACAMS, CGSS, CCAS examinations, then you can contact Trade Hunt Management on the contact details appearing on the screen right now.